and a bit, and also for giving up the space to let us come in. We are normally here on a Sunday, but we're here a little bit early. Today we're here on a Saturday, and the reason is we have international guests. We have people who have flown across the great Atlantic to join us today. So we got up early, we came in, I got dressed, the others didn't, and we made something happen. So I'd like to welcome our guest today. We have TC Carrier, who is a well-respected author, has a load of fans waiting in the UK as he begins the book tour. And also King Kevin Dorival. Now these brothers have written some books on male and female relationships. That's how we like to say it. We call it male and female relationships. But the actual titles are The Science, Kevin help me now, The Secret Science of Black Male and Female Sex, and 7
Types of King's Desire.
There you go. So, gentlemen, welcome. How you doing today?
Oh, bless up, man.
No, it's not like that. We ain't gonna be all formal.
Okay,
just relax,
okay.
let it go. It's cool. We're just chatting like we chatted. Because we was out last night. We actually are coming in late. Because we didn't party, we ate, we had a nice time. But we was out yesterday till quite late. So no, we're just gonna chop it up like we do and relax.
Good.
So, go ahead. What would you like to say? Go ahead. What were you talking about?
Bless up. This is King Kevin. I'm thankful to be here on Omega Black Talk radio show.
The sign says it for itself. The Talk Black radio show here on Omega FM.
First time in London. It's a blessing. Dream come true.
Yeah, it's a blessing to have you, bro. It's a blessing to have you.
Greetings, y'all. This is TC Carrier, author of The Secret Science of Black Male and Female Sex. Bigs up to my UK fam, showing us nothing but love out here. Just great to be in the studio and to chop it up with my fellow brothers.
Yeah, well, hey, it was good. Like I said yesterday, we went out to this thing. There was I think they had like a speed dating thing. I ain't done speed dating. Like I don't really do speed dating. I don't agree with the principle. But they had a little speed dating thing. Looked like it was fun. You guys was in there giving people the benefit of your wisdom, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Was you actually was you coaching or was you in the speed dating thing? How was that?
You know what? We actually was participating, and one thing I found out that the issues that black women have in the U.S. is the issues black women have in the UK.
I agree.
And also the good things about it as well. As UK, beautiful sisters out here, me and Kevin really enjoyed ourselves.
Okay, I'm not sure how I'd take that. In terms of the conversation and the interactions. Because you was blowing up Instagram and all that stuff.
Yeah,
was you and Sister Smiling with you in your book? Because apparently, like all of the fans I've seen so far, I haven't heard any brothers talking about it, which is kind of interesting because today's a brothers show.
Yeah.
It's only men in the studio, unfortunately. Suzanne couldn't be with us today. She may call in, but she couldn't be with us just yet. But I haven't really had a chance to see how the brothers handle it. But I know the sisters really love the book and they really are getting behind the tour. So
Definitely. Yeah, my main supporters of the book have been the sisters. I think the sisters are ready for change, where brothers, first of all, we don't read as much as we should. Sisters are always reading, and they're always trying to improve themselves. So it's easier, I think, for sisters to take a look at themselves, whereas brothers have a hard time with our egos to really get in and find our issues and to deal with them.
well, that we shall discuss later and see if that really is the case. I may have to take some issue with some of that later, but also I've forgot to introduce my partners in righteousness here, Brother Trevor and Brother David. How you guys doing?
Good, very well, very well. It feels different, to be honest. Like we usually do our shows Sundays 4 till 6.
Yeah.
You know, you've had the whole day. You're kind of strolling.
And dinner's on the stove.
Yeah. So it's a different vibe being here on a Saturday. But no, happy to be here still.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, maybe we'll try something. We'll try. It's a Saturday morning thing, and I don't think I've ever done that, having gone out late the night before. So this is a double whammy for us. David, how's it going, bro?
It's good. It's good. It's good to be here with the brothers from America. That's good. It's gonna be fun today.
Yeah, I was thinking that because y'all ready to discuss? Because to me, I think the male and female relationship thing I generally try to stay away from because people get really upset if you don't come at it a certain way, and it kind of, I think it's such a big topic that we really have to deal with. But you got to deal with it in a sensitive way and a way that is intelligent and that we've actually thought through. So we brought the scholars on to have a conversation and see. So Trevor, let us frame this thing with some statistics and let's just appraise everybody with the understanding of where we are with black male-female relationships, and then we will open up the table and see where we go.
All right. Well, we start off when we talk about black male-female relationships, black families. generally there's if we look in our own, I know personally, and talking to people in my circle, when you talk about black families and black relationships, a lot of people have like a negative mindset towards it in terms of like looking in our families, how many of our grandparents or our uncles and aunts, people in our family are actually married and happily married in our community. And then we talk about single parent households and things like that. But when I was looking at the statistics in this country, there's a few, just a little bit harder in this country because there's less of us here.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily keep those statistics the same.
And they don't really employ anyone to find out anything about
No,
the
they
1 million
don't
of us who are hiding somewhere on the
they
island.
don't consider that important enough, I guess. But one of the things that comes up is that half of black children in the UK are raised in single parent households, and generally women leading the household, so without fathers. In the United States, obviously, there's quite a few interesting statistics around black marriage. And I was talking about how basically in 2014, only 29% of African Americans were married compared to 48% of all Americans, basically. So the rate was a lot higher. Then basically half of black people in the States have never been married compared to 33% of all Americans. And then what was interesting
So
is...
hold on. That means, I want to get in because 67% of all Americans have been married.
Yeah, at some point.
Oh wow, go ahead. Okay.
And then they had this census study where they basically they tracked marriage, the rate of marriage from 1890 to 2010. And what they found was black men and women were more likely to be married than their white counterparts up until like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And then from that period onwards, it kind of declined. And then from the 1980s to 2010, it's all about the prison industrial complex.
Crack cocaine.
These sort of things, then it's just been a crazy decline. So the number of never married African American men went from 10% in 1980 to an increase up to 25% by 2010. Well, I think for African American women, but for the white population, it remained exactly the same over that period of time.
Wow.
So when I was looking at that, it made me think about how it's not just we have our issues, but it seems like it's kind of by design as well, in terms of the situations we find ourselves in. And lastly, they had a study where they were talking about single parent homes in the States, and they said 70% of non-Hispanic white children between the age of 0 and 18 grew up in two-parent households. 59% of Hispanic children grow up in two-parent households, but it's the same is only true for about a third of black children. So you can see again that disparity in our community.
And generally how the statistics work, because we're so affected by similar things, those statistics generally travel over here, and when they come over here, they're either similar or worse.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It is the black experience in the Western world is very, wherever you look,
It's
different
the same.
places, even in Europe, France, different places.
Because it's
same
not
stories.
quite like the Black Panther yet, where you go one place and like we're on top here in where's in Katanda, where he comes from.
I can't remember what's the name of that.
Yeah, so it ain't like we don't have, wherever we go, we're at the bottom. It's not like there's one place that we're killing it.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
a bit
cool.
like that.
So, TC, does that bear witness to your experience and what you see and what you've studied and researched for your book?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's definitely been a continued effort to suppress the black man and woman and the child, and the family is the main concern. My thing is the focus is really on the black woman. The black woman is the number one threat to white supremacy, not the black man.
Explain that for me.
The black woman is the number one threat because the black woman has the lineage, right? She is the maternal, which means material. She has the material for the link to our illustrious past. So through her genes and her legacy is the future of black people. She is the maternal instinct. And also in Africa, they always based society on the matriarchal. So the matriarchal meaning that she holds the key, the legacy through her womb for all the greats in our society that will become in the future.
Because everyone of greatness comes through a woman, right?
Exactly, exactly. So to deal with her, you have to deal with her number one protector and provider, which is the black man. So that's one thing that's a misnomer now, is that the black man is not the issue. well, not the number one threat, but he is the issue because he supports and protects the black woman. So if you eliminate him,
Then you have
white
access
supremacy
now.
has access to the
Yeah,
black
of
woman.
course.
Yes.
Which they have had for quite a long time.
No
Kevin,
question.
does that, again, there's those statistics and that kind of base, 'cause I just want to set up where we're going today, but that bear witness to your experience and your study?
Oh, definitely. Every year I host an event outside of writing books. I host an event called the Black on Black Crime Solutions Panel. This year was our 4th one. And through my research, thanks to Dr. Amos Wilson and
Yes.
scholars like that,
Yeah.
I've come to understand why, like TC said, the black woman is such a threat. Because everyone wants to be with the black woman. You know, black women in the States are overly sexualized. They now hold the top positions in different industries and careers. You can see it's evident how successful they are. And when you look at the black man, they, are struggling, And so what I realized that if we empower the black woman to get back to the throne and not necessarily see her strength and beauty in her sexuality, but in her inner spirit, her strength, and her prayers, that we can get the black men back on point. Because as long as the black woman is focused on her sexuality, how sexy she looks, continue taking selfies, continue taking all these travels, she would never have time to actually stay home and take care of home.
Ooh.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
We're getting real now.
No, because we have to do this, because you were speaking about roles, and then you went, I think you said you was in Ghana, and you saw like the roles that people
Right.
had,
Yes.
like the roles in terms of our relationships. I was finding this a hot topic, because that's where like Trevon said, it seems to me that the statistics say we're under attack, like there's this structural attack that we're under. However, what we're arguing about never seems to be that. What we're arguing about is, yeah, but why can't I go to work and I should, whatever, and I earn more money than you, and you ain't no man, because you should be able to see me earn money and be happy for me and not have any issues of your own. To me, I don't know, masculinity seems to be a bit of a crime these days. It's like, it's actually, it's out of style kind of thing. Am I wrong, David?
No, you're
No,
right.
I don't know if it's that. I get the point of that.
Yeah.
But we're coming from a space of damaged goods. We're starting from that place.
Mm.
So we're both damaged goods that we're now coming into enlightenment and coming into our roles. So that's the disturbance. The damage is the disturbance to the relationship.
The damage that we come on. So in that case, actually, that, you know what, that was the point that was riding me. When I was looking at the books and I saw the level that both you brothers were speaking on in your books, but what I was trying to get my head around is, how do we use this coming from a damaged space? How do we, because especially yours is like, you go into the sciences in terms of like creation and stuff.
Exactly.
With how yours is. And obviously when you're talking male or female relationships and the purpose, it is really the creation and the propagation of life. That's why male and female, positive and negative, come together. But then how do we, looking at the situation that we're in, the damage that we're in, how do we use the science that you have or the information that you share, how do we use that from a damaged position?
Okay, great question. First of all, before we can get to the knowledge, we have to be in a position to receive the knowledge. And to be in that position means that you have to look at yourself from an outside perspective. You have to let the ego go and really look at yourself as honest and truthful as you can. We are all damaged goods, as Brother David was saying. And if you, first of all, cannot acknowledge that we are damaged, then there's no way that we can repair what has been done to us for over 400 years.
Yes.
So I don't care how good you think you're doing. I don't care how much money you make, how much success that you feel you have. If you are black and you living on this planet, you are operating at just a fraction of your true potential. So you must admit that you have a problem. I think they say the first thing about addiction is admitting that you have a problem. So once we could admit as a people that we are damaged goods, then we can actually go in and really do the work to see what that's right. If it's from my book, if it's from Kevin, if it's from the nation or whatever, at least you have to come in with your ego left out the door.
Check out the door, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Kev, damaged goods. So you said the 7 types of queens, kings desire. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm damaged goods, she's damaged goods. What I desire is non-damaged goods. How do I live?
Well, first of all, every woman is a queen.
Mm.
Every woman, I don't care what color you are. It's a matter of knowing what type of queen you are so you can attract the right type of man. Are you a spiritual queen? Are you a warrior queen? Are you a natural queen? Are you a cooking queen? So on and so
But
forth.
a cooking queen.
Yes, yes.
Do you know what? I
My
was looking
favorite
through
one.
the list and I did stop. I ain't gonna lie, I stopped on that one. I didn't
Yeah.
just find it, just so people get when you're talking about that, just go through what those things actually mean. What is a cooking queen?
The cooking queen is a woman that loves to cook and loves to serve her family and her community. And
Sign me up.
right, not necessarily you have to be a slave or anything like that, but a woman, when she cooks, she's able to put her love energy into the food, feed the family, sit on the table, and pray.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I don't see anymore. I grew up with a mom, with a cooking queen that, you know, cooked, and we sat down on the table and fellowship and get to know what's going on in each other's world.
Yes.
And before you even eat, you pray.
Yes.
You know, so that's not going on anymore.
Yes.
So some of the traditional things, you need to get back to them
Mm.
in order to move forward and build healthier families. That's the main basis of my book, to build stronger relationships so we can build stronger homes, stronger families, stronger neighborhoods, communities, cities, states, nations, so on and so forth.
Because
Yeah.
some of the research we was getting into, and I think it came when we looked at the dates, because we thought that marriage was going to be messed up through slavery, but when we actually looked at it, the marriage was quite strong during slavery. Marriage was
Yeah.
strong after slavery. And then wait there, so the numbers only went off in the 60s.
60s, yeah.
But that's like our strongest time. It's like we're coming up at that
But
point.
I think at that point we knew that we had an enemy and that we were against it. Whereas I think as you know, you get more
So there was
integration,
unity and love
there
in
was
the home
unity
and with
in
that.
because that's all we had was one another. And then when the doors kind of opened up somewhat, then it's like, well, I've got options now, isn't it?
Well,
I
to
think
be
it
honest, I don't
changes
even
a
know if
little
it's options. It's like you favour some. You favour
Yeah.
one over the other and start the jealousy or envy situation, and someone thinks they're better than someone else.
Mm.
But no, sorry, go ahead,
And
David.
also, on the point the brother made about the sister in terms of the cooking, that's key. It reminds me of the founder of the nation Islam when he came to America,
Mhm.
and when he was invited into the homes, he would go to the medicine cabinet
Mm.
and then look in there and say, okay, take out the medicine, take out all that, and then go into the kitchen and say, that's the medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
Your food, your cooking, is your health.
And it's the basis of nation building
That's right.
is strong families.
Mm.
So once we destroyed the strong families, it's gone. So we got to a point where we think the basis of nation building is money. But we have people with money, male and female, and it hasn't changed our condition.
Exactly.
But what we haven't had is like these real strong family values that you were speaking of coming back. So get into it. What's in the way? What's been hindering us? Because what you're speaking about, I've been hearing about as long as I've been in the nation and before. But what's hindering us from taking on these values? What's hindering us from getting back to these realities? So as you've got it, you've studied it, you know, you bathe in it, you get out, you share it with people. What's actually hindering us from making these changes and developing? I'll go with you.
Excuses. I mean, ladies today, as I mentioned earlier, they're very successful. So they blame it on their schedules, not being able to have time or find the time. But they have time to be on social media all day, have time to take selfies,
Yeah.
have time to go clubbing and traveling. If there's a will, there's a way. Now in the States, I'm not sure how it is in the UK, if you talk to a sister and ask her if she cooked, or you even hint that you expect her to cook, you might get a shoe thrown at you. You know
No,
what
it's
I'm
the
saying?
same. It's the
And-
same.
and
It's the
that's
same.
crazy. But you can find the time. Just prepare the food the night before, or get the ingredients ready, and
You
then
know,
and
I
then
know
go
a
and cook.
whole heap of sisters who can't cook or won't cook. You know that show Can't Cook, Won't Cook. But most of the brothers I know like pride themselves and get round the kitchen. Our cameraman is out there growing and cooking his own pumpkins and them things. It's like we're trying to get back. But in terms of why it's like that, what is it we as men are not providing that would give them the space to do it? Because from my vantage point, I've wrestled with this for a bit. But I felt, actually, you know what? I think this is your subject because you deal with like how this stuff works in the universe.
Okay.
And as men, we must be doing something wrong because, truth be told, the Caucasian men who run the establishment have no problem getting buy-in and obedience from our women. They have
True.
no problem,
That's
but
true.
they provide for them.
Right.
So when they need something, they know they can go. For you guys, you'd say uptown or downtown, but for us, they go to the council and they get what they need. Okay, if they aren't going to the council, they can go, whether they go to the council for a job or benefits, or whether they go corporate, whether they go to the education system, they can get what they need. What are we as men not doing that would allow us to get the kind of buy-in our enemies get?
Yeah, you know, that's really a good question. It's so deep on so many levels.
All right, you got time left.
So I don't like to point the finger at what are men not doing and what are women not doing, because all that does is cause divisiveness amongst our community. By pointing the finger at each other, like that old adage is, if you point one finger at me, you're pointing four back at yourself.
Right.
So my thing is holding yourself accountable, male or female, to just being a good person. Just being a good person, putting others ahead of yourself. This is what we call the chakra. If you deal with the chakra system, the first level of higher consciousness starts in the heart. And all the chakra is a center of energy from which you base how you define yourself and the reality around you. So if we all just put each other ahead of ourselves, if we, again, suppress the ego, which is very hard because we live in a society that feeds the ego constantly without our permission, whether that be
feeds the ego
yes.
without your permission.
Correct.
Wow.
So in the States, for black women, all the roles that you see on television and entertainment are Atlanta Housewives. I don't know if y'all familiar with that.
Yeah, we get every freaking ego, we get it out here.
So these women are beautiful, immaculate on the outside, but really ugly, really nasty, really masculine, in your face.
Some of them be like that on the outside too.
Exactly. So our young girls are looking at these women as role models, and it's by design. They're looking at the Nicki Minaj, where your sexuality, as Kevin was saying, is now your power.
Yeah.
It's your power, right? Amber Rose and sisters of that nature, and then you get into the list goes on and on. So we are being conditioned for women to be masculine, and then at the same time for the brothers to be feminine.
Yes.
So when you have those two options working and also feeding the lower part of you, right, the beast that inside of you, you get what you have in the black community, and everybody wondering what's wrong with the men, what's wrong with the women, but not really looking at the state of the environment that we are being conditioned to be under.
No, I catch that, but I think you kind of, like you answered it, but you kind of went left with me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I get that.
Yeah.
But then, to me, when I've agonized over it, because it's something that whenever we get into, generally there's an argument. I have a good friend of mine, Oneness, the poet, and she had a party at her house, and there's loads of sisters and loads of brothers and different conscious expression is all in the room, and to get that synergy kind of thing where male and female, and these are intellectuals, I would call them,
right.
In the room, but we couldn't get the synergy. And I was, when I thought about it, my mindset was like, well, okay, rather than, like you said, point the finger at self. So if I'm a man, so I'm looking at self. What is it that we, even as we're damaged goods, but what we got to do? Because I just had that feeling like if we came together as men and built an environment
right.
and put them in it, or shared that environment with them, then we have a space to go, okay, well, you haven't got to worry about, you're standing in this space or that space. You haven't got to worry about finishing a day's work in corporate UK or America and then come home to Atlanta Housewives, because we have another reality that makes more sense. Because where you guys was yesterday is a social space.
Yes.
But in that social space that has been created by yourselves and our sister, obviously the mindset's different, no?
Exactly.
Right, so we have to create new spaces, and I'm not sure if we can leave that to the sisters, and that's why I said with you, because I know you was talking about how the universe is created. You talked about positive and negative all throughout the universe and how it works to create new realities.
Yes.
So put that into our situation.
Okay, let me see how I could rephrase this. So in nature, right, and when we talk about nature, our ancestors, there was no stipulation between nature and God. God was nature, nature was God. So to get closer to God, it wasn't about praying, it wasn't about going to church, it wasn't about going to the mosque, it was about understanding the laws that govern nature, and they're called universal principles or laws.
Yeah.
One of those principles, and that I believe is the only principle, is the law of gender. And that means that everything in nature, all energy is either masculine or feminine.
Like positive or negative, right?
Positive or negative, higher or lower, black or white.
Yeah. The yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Right. So when we talk about, well, the black woman is God or the black man is God, they are both not true. The black man and black woman in harmony, in balance, is God. You need both.
Yes.
You need both. And once we understand that, now we can appreciate each other when we come together as family and harmony and relationship. So what is masculinity? All masculinity is, when you just leave it out and you just look at it under a microscope, is giving out energy. It's positive. Positive just means that it sits still in order to give out the most amount of energy, as opposed to feminine energy is negative. And I know a lot of sisters get upset because why feminine got to be negative? Why I got to be negative?
Make a connotation that it's
right,
negative, but
right.
it's not.
And that's what's been, we are taught, because we are taught to hate the feminine principle. All negative means is to have no gates, to be infinite, to have no boundaries, right? So when we give our feminine energy, our woman, our energy, we give her our best, she creates our reality according to the level of consciousness that we are on. So that's why she has no gates, because she can create this energy. But she needs the man in order to give her that energy so that she can reflect it back to them. So we can all learn to look at nature in those terms. And we're talking about from the smallest subatomic particle to the biggest cosmic universe. They all abide by this law of gender. And that's what my book hits. So once we know how the law of gender works, once we know what masculine looks like and feminine looks like, we can hold each other accountable to the way God has presented us to be in our roles in this society. If we can do that as a basis for the foundation, I think we're going to be halfway there.
I love that. So that's, by the way, that's what I got from the book. See that piece there? That's why I was kind of pushing you that direction, because that's the piece that I got from the book. And to me, that's what I'm taking away. I haven't finished it, but that's what I've taken away from the book, was that, in terms of just the way that it's scientific in more that it's not just your personal feeling one to another. There's actually a universal law here.
Exactly.
And all this other stuff that people are bombarding you with is actually taking you away from your true nature, your true universal understanding. And in that is success. Now, for me, doesn't matter who we are, Muslims, Christians, Pan-African, it makes no difference. The universal law is a universal law, and we can work and build from that. Trev, you had a point?
Yeah, I was just, as I was listening, it was making me think about our understanding of each other and the competition sometimes, because I feel like, I was thinking about our experiences, like, we're not actually taught about relationships really. And I think when elder people have conversations with younger people about relationships, it's generally from the standpoint of get yours. Like, don't let people take advantage of you. So I remember talking to my granddad one time, and he was telling me, like, to make sure that I don't get married because my finances.
He told me exactly the same thing.
My finances, they take your money. You gotta make sure you protect this, protect that. So he didn't tell me this is how you take care of a woman and this is how you build your family. It was, protect your stuff. And then sometimes I'm speaking to these sisters, like when they talk about the things that they've heard, it's like, it's the same thing. Like, you have to make sure he doesn't take advantage of you. You make sure that you have this, you have that. And so what happens is you get two people coming into a relationship and everyone's trying to get theirs, but we're not actually building and working together. And it creates, it's like it's a wrong energy, I think, that's in the relationship from the start, which makes it difficult then to actually go forward. Do you know what I mean?
No,
so
definitely.
That was something that came to mind also in terms of accountability, because there's this challenge going around. We were talking about it the other day. That's what you could call it.
Okay.
Right.
Well, no. Not everyone's gonna know that. Like, I only found out about that yesterday, so not everyone's gonna know that. But there's a challenge. Right. I'm gonna try to do this for the AM audience. Okay, there is a challenge that you have to make up a song on the internet. You gotta check me if I'm right, because I only heard about this yesterday. Because someone I knew was singing this song on the film. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I haven't seen you for a little while, and this is what you like.
crazy.
But then I'm like, oh no, it's a worldwide thing. So I asked my son, I said, yeah, this whether it's for the D or for the P, I'm gonna let your imagination work out the rest. And you make up a song and post that on Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's like going on. That's the culture now. So it spreads. So someone's done it, and someone else has done it. All the celebrities are doing it. All the people are doing it, and people are seeing it. And it spreads like a virus. Everyone knows what people are doing. Right. What I was going to say is a lot of the time, those of us who have a different mindset, all of us are responsible for bringing about a change. So if one person has a way of doing things and they want to do things in a positive way, then it's like if I impact or you impact, I don't know, you have a circle of 100 people and those people have a circle of 100 people, then in the same way a more positive mindset actually goes around. But I think what happens a lot of the time is it's those negative mindsets that are being spread.
But hold on. Negative in the sense that maybe not the sense brother was just speaking.
No, not in that sense. But negative
In the
terms of
pejorative sense.
lower
yeah,
level.
even what I was talking about before in terms of get yours. That mindset goes round and round and round and round.
Do you know what I think though? Sorry Dave, I won't let you come in. But you know why I think it's like that? It's because when you have a positive thing, like we have something positive. And I see this sometimes in the Nation of Islam because what was given to us is like a body of rules, knowledge, understanding of, okay, this is the universal principles. So fornication is forbidden, slap talk, gossip is forbidden, sisters come, except that you're going to need training, brothers come, except you're going to need training. So every Monday the brothers got to go for FOI class and, you know, we got to get that training in. Okay. But then what happens is, you start bringing in some of that other stuff, and it's contaminating. That's why, like, once we start accepting, once we make an agreement with those mindsets, then it becomes that. If we don't circle it off and then say, okay, we now are trying to get back to this, and in our circle, we don't allow any of that,
That's right.
then we can't build a new circle. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, and that what we're hearing, I don't know everybody's background, but I imagine a lot of it is the result of pain. A painful experience, and now your doctrine is based on your pain.
Survival of your negative experience.
Yes.
I feel a way to use the word negative like that.
Right,
I've got
right.
a new understanding to
But
it.
you see how prevalent it is.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just
yeah,
rolls
yeah,
off our
yeah.
tongue.
Give me another word to use.
I say lower level.
All right, then we'll try and put that back in that sentence. How to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you said you've been through pain. It's a way of dealing with that lower level experience.
So yeah, so we're still in that.
Yeah.
Because we know we're talking about relationships. That's you know, in the science level when the Caucasian talks about atoms and trying to force atoms that don't usually go together, it causes major explosions.
Yeah, Hiroshima.
When you're pushing
Yeah.
things together,
Yeah.
when you're trying to relate things,
I
you need
like that.
you need some major massive machines to be able to do
Oh,
that on the island.
so yeah.
And so if that's just like little bits, and those little bits are us.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about relating, and then we put all our energy and love and hope into that moment, and then the result is pain, then boy, it's hard to go back there again.
Well, kind of. Yeah, and then I guess
It's hard to go back there without the pain. I'm saying it's
then we
hard.
start self-medicating. You mean
And
finding
also
other
the
ways.
advice we give now.
Okay. Yes.
The advice we give.
I got that. Like Trevor was talking. Remember, like he's talking about his granddad. That's actually my dad. So I got that advice like first hand from like the cradle. And I was getting that advice. But then it's like you said. It's like he had a painful experience, and then he shares that. And like for a long time until somebody else came into the picture and gave me something else, so I'm trying to work with what he gave me. It wasn't a good look. Do you know what I mean? But okay, so if that's where we are, Kevin,
I was going to add something regarding the challenge.
go ahead.
Can I drop one for the P? Can I say the challenge on the mic? I'm joking.
I'm like, do you know, I don't want. He's a guest. He's a guest, and I'm English. We don't do that.
You will see Justin silent.
Which I was going to say regarding the challenge and also the experience. As you can hear what some of these people are saying on the challenge, they're talking about their pain and their experience in life and their relationships. And if you really listen, you can hear how troubling it really is.
Explain, give me some. I mean, don't do the whole Pete challenge, but explain what you mean, like how troubling. What
I
would you
mean,
hear
some
that
of them were saying that how they literally die for the P or the D. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll jump off of this or shoot. You know what I'm saying? So
like disregard their morals and values
completely
for a sexual
for sexual experience
for sex.
that only lasts momentarily.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll sell out my whatever.
Oh
that I
no!
had for that sexual.
It's like, it's that deep?
It's,
Oh, yeah,
listen
yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
That's
Listen
what
to
it
it.
is.
Do you know what? The one I heard yesterday, I was struggling. I was struggling. And it's like it's a joke, but I'm like, that's not a joke.
Some of them are funny, but if you really listen to it, it's very troubling.
Yeah.
And also, what I wanted to add, what this brother was saying here. What's your name again, brother? Trevon.
Yeah.
Now, with relationships, if you really think about it, a male and a female, when it's literally we have our own worlds, and if you bring those two worlds together, you really can't bring two planets together. You can't merge two planets. You can't merge two worlds. So what you would have to do is you would have to come together on the spiritual realm. That's the only way it's possible.
Right.
Then, because everything that happens in life, it happens first in thought and spirit, and then it manifests in the physical.
Yeah.
So if a male and female who are genuinely interested in each other and have a common ground, like it comes to a common ground, then they can perhaps come together slowly and merge into one. This is what we need. Because right now we're clashing. When you're dating a sister, it's like both of us are coming to the battlefield with a sword. When you really should be putting the sword down so you can come and talk and get to know
Come with
one
some
another.
instruction manuals, some books.
Right, come to understand it because there's too much clashing in the very beginning, and I'm not sure how hostile the sisters here in the UK,
you know what?
but I met some very beautiful sisters last night.
You met them in their best. They came, they read your book, they knew who they was talking to. You needed to rock up there with no book and just be like, hi, could I have a sit with you? And try and put the English accent on.
Without
See
the
how it
accent,
happens.
right.
Or I'll tell you what you try. Say, I think I have seen you somewhere before. See how that one works for you. No, okay. Let me get back to it, right? In terms of like how we come together. In the initial stages, I think that's half of the problem, and maybe that's the pain you're speaking of. It's always flowery and lovely, like stuff always works out. That first meet someone, you like someone, go on a couple of dates, like that honeymoon period, which really doesn't come after the wedding, comes well before. That honeymoon period is lovely. So it's not like, and I always used to get it twisted, like it's not like we don't know something about how to act, it's just we get straight to we go down the wrong alleyway kind of thing. No? David? Did I go off your point?
No, it's that. But also, I remember hearing it. I wish I remembered where I heard it from. But it was said in terms of the love is a healing, and it brings out infections. That makes a lot of sense to me. So when you start a relationship with somebody,
Yeah.
it's fine, and then you have gone on that journey, and love grows. It brings out your infections, your previous relationships come out.
Well, yeah, I could be a witness to that. Yeah, go ahead. All right.
So that journey, so it might be at a certain time, it might be all fine, and suddenly something comes up. What is that that's come up? Now you don't know where it came from. That's past now coming up, and now this thing's coming up now. This thing saying, we need to sort this out. This is a healing process, and if they can get through that stage of their development.
It's like I heard Minister Farrakhan say, like, if you get married, like, you shouldn't divorce in the first 3 years. But then if you could survive the first three, if you survive that first 3 years, then you got a chance, like you might make it, because I guess that's the trials will come up. And there's something, it was, I think it's in one of the courtship manuals, but it talked about, I forgot it, disappointment, like unmet expectations, like you meet someone and you put your expectations on them, and then having that unmet expectations. But I guess that's just another side to what you're saying, like things coming out of you, because your expectations are based on your pain and what you want and what you hope for, and that coming out. Okay, using 7 types of King's Desire,
Yes, sir.
how can we get past that bit? How do we work out, when stuff is coming up from someone, you've met someone, you like someone, you're a brother or a sister, and stuff starts to come up. What happens? How would you address that point using your study and scholarship?
Great question. First of all, some of us don't belong in a relationship until we get ourselves correct
That's
first.
a teacher right there.
You have to love yourself. Not necessarily be selfish, but you have to love yourself, love what God has blessed you with, and have a purpose in life and something
Brother,
that
you know, with that as a precursor, you know, we'd be extinct.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm playing, but I actually heard that.
Right.
I actually heard that. Like, if it wasn't for like our birth rate, if we were waiting on our marriages, and brother was saying the kind of marriages we've had since the 60s, if it wasn't for that, our birth rate would be lower than Caucasians, and they're in trouble. They've gone down past 1.9, haven't they? Of actually zero population growth.
Yeah.
Right. But so I get it, and I agree. That's the teaching. I know that.
Right.
Because we shouldn't be. Then many of us have gone down that road. We've done some of that. How do we repair?
All right, my next point. You've heard of STDs before, sexually transmitted.
Nope,
disease.
never heard of those before in my life.
Well, it's something I talk about in my book called Sexually Transmitted Demons. And so some of these demons need to be dealt with. And Brother David, right? What he was saying is that love brings those issues out. So we need to deal with some of those demons. And how do you deal with these demons? Through prayer, spiritual cleansings, and things in that nature. Because if you don't deal with them, they're going to come back to haunt you anyway. Yeah. So in my chapter, Spiritual Queen, in my book, I talk about that and how do you cleanse yourself? You know, first of all,
But is it how she cleanses herself? Because
it could be either way.
Okay.
It's not, demons don't just exist in
yeah,
women.
yeah, it's a universal principle.
Also in men as well. You know, and when I say demons, negative things that we worship that we really shouldn't.
Lower level things. That's what we're doing here today. Lower level things.
Lord.
No, because what he said is heavy. It makes it's good sense. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm going to have to ask you to put a pin in it because we're going to have to take a pause for the
Great,
cause
okay.
and be back on the other side. You are listening to Amiga FM. I am here with King Kevin Dorival and TC Carrier. I'm having a very good and intellectual and interesting morning. I hope you are too. We're going to come back. You can call us on 07539 968 143. That's 07539 968 143. I will allow some phone calls today. We will see you on the other side. It's male and female relationships. We've got international authors. It's Amiga FM. See you on the other side.
Amiga Radio, 104.
You said the number wrong.
News and views around your community.
Is that an hour so far?
No.
Yes, you did.
What did I say?
You said 07533 966 8143.
How long did it take? But then they ain't going to call.
Well, he repeated it twice.
My first
Did I say it wrong twice?
Yeah, no, you said the sequence right, but you said you said the zero.
I have no idea. I'm going to do that.
Oh, it's a letter.
So what like? I said the number right or I said the number wrong? Which
You
one?
read it
It's an inspirational autobiography.
technically wrong, but you said it right. But you said, oh, zero.
Tell me what I said.
You said
We'll
07539.
find out if we get called.
Yeah.
It's 07539. No.
Oh,
You said, oh.
He said, oh.
Oh, it's a letter.
We all
yes.
said, oh.
Okay, that's an English thing. And that's why I have headphones. But you didn't give me headphones.
So if you just, you're talking still, but just don't let it lean forward, don't let it brush against your clothes.
Just start writing your poems.
So headphones.
Don't give a title yet.
Will it help me?
Have some sort of
Can I have
idea
coffee?
of what direction you want. Just start
You haven't got that
writing.
intern yet. You need
I
an
haven't.
intern.
Do you know what? I don't need an intern. I need a brother right now. Can a brother
I
get me
would,
coffee?
because I'm
So I
changing
don't know
back
if
to
you want to
Because
go
for you're
chronological
mean. You are
order
mean. This guy down in history. You're mean.
based on certain topics.
Oh,
Divide
by the
it,
way,
and then
that's really good, you two. Thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Following you, bro.
Yeah, it was really good. How'd you find that?
It's cheap
Wait,
price.
yeah, man.
Some comments.
You need someone who's gonna actually
Good comments.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, good. Well,
Go
give me
through
some.
it, work with you and understand
In a minute when I
what
get
you're-
coffee.
What you're doing.
You don't need to do anything right now, do you?
Voice.
How long we
That's-
got?
That's something that I mistake with my person.
Matthew, how long we got?
We've got it'll be about
But eventually I got it right,
total about
and I
7
get
minutes,
that
8
mistake.
minutes.
8 minutes? 8 minutes?
even I was reading it yesterday.
Right.
It was deep.
Any messages we've got or whatever, can you not write them down or just text them to me?
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, and that's the thing. It's like you wouldn't get your message over. You wouldn't get over in a way where it's just like people just get it.
Get it right.
Yeah.
Consume it.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the 7 titles?
It's
Like, how did you?
Come with the title or
Yeah.
come
No,
with the 7 titles?
the actual 7
I like
titles.
Because what I did was I, one, is a lot of it is based on my personal experience and relationships, but I interviewed several happily married men and asked them what it was
Oh, right, I can
about these women
got my phone
that
outside.
made you choose her to be your wife. You know, so taking their information and my experience, I came up with 7 times the points. Like,
Oh, wait,
It'll be
no,
good to discuss in the second part as
Vincent's here
well,
off
even in
12
terms of
inches.
like picking, because a lot of times I guess it's just surface stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it takes a while, or even when you realise that maybe it's not the person, it's kind of like, well, I'm still going down this road anyway. See,
true.
yeah, but actually,
No,
like, how do you actually pick a good partner for yourself?
I mean, I'm still searching now because I actually started writing this book after heartbreak. You know what I'm saying? And so, using that experience instead of being
On the
negative
sofa,
about
it's
it,
like a little bit,
God
yeah.
gets me to turn it around to something positive. You know. So yeah, hopefully, you know, I think it's a game changer as far as like how women view themselves. Because if the women ain't right, the men will never be right. That's what's about energy. You know what I'm saying? They give birth to our children.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so we get our women to raise the standards, then they'll cause the men to pick their game up and really become the protectors and providers and defenders that we are born.
Right, okay, Mike,
You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming at with this.
yes.
Because I'm gonna write. I didn't say it, but I'm gonna write. I'm working on
Right,
7 types of kings, queens desire next.
Oh really?
For you, roughly about we're trying to get here for about quarter to 4.
TC, where are you from?
Originally from LA. I'm living in Oakland now.
West Side.
Yeah, I've been in that
LA.
Yeah. Have you been?
Taking a short
Nah,
break, but we're gonna be back.
Man,
Taking a short. We will be back. So y'all stay tuned.
y'all
in 5
travel a lot. A
minutes.
lot of people that I've met
Big
have been to the
camera.
States, have been around. Like I'm the only one, like in my circle, that's been to London. You know, like, we don't get out. Our box is so small.
But the thing is, America's so big though. You don't got like
True.
everything in America, so it's like, what are you coming out for? Whereas London is a bit like, it's a bit drab here, so let's go and see other things. Because I've been Detroit, Chicago, New
See what I'm
York.
saying?
Yeah, I went to go Atlanta though.
TV, isn't it? Remember, TV is all about America.
True.
We see.
Bombarded.
I remember when I first went to America, there's a bit of an anticlimax. Because
Yeah,
I'm thinking I'm going to be in a movie. And I'm like, okay, it's the streets. It's big
streets of gold.
It's like you can't
Yeah.
in a movie.
No, the marketing for America, like,
Oh, no
it's
question.
crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's like the city of dreams, you know, you
Right,
make
right,
it here, make it anywhere.
Yeah. When I
Everyone
was in
comes to
Africa,
go.
they was like
I'm
dying to
looking
come, and I was like, you really don't.
I have family in the
Don't
Caribbean,
really
it's the same.
doing fine
Like,
where
they
you
think
at.
about like England here, and they just think like it's the most amazing
Yeah.
place, the streets paved with gold.
Right.
And they're like, you're so lucky to be here. They come out and they go, oh, okay. It's alright.
This costs how much, and how much for it? And you pay for water, you
Have
pay
you-
for electricity.
Have you looked at like how are you finding the cost of things here? Like,
Exactly, man, crazy.
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, the dollar ain't worth nothing. I'm about that $1 balling, man. You come here
I
like.
remember Chris Rock had a joke. He said the first time he came here, he gave someone $3,000 and they gave him a loaf of bread.
Exactly, man. It's crazy. So,
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. How are you lot feeling about like what's the spirit in the States about Donald Trump? Like, I hear a lot of people are getting quite emotional about it now. Like he's destroying the country. I even saw LeBron talking about it. Like I've never heard anyone call a president a bum before. Like
yeah. Well, he gonna bring it up, right?
Yeah,
so we'll
he's
talk
right.
about it.
Yeah.
Jump on that.
I got a different angle on Trump. Yeah.
Yeah.
He embarrassing. That's all I can say. Like he's just embarrassing.
You know what?
To be a president.
Yeah, he doesn't seem. To be honest,
Come on,
to me,
man.
when I heard that he was
Yeah.
running like 18 months ago, I just figured it was like a side show. I
Everyone
didn't actually think it was
thought
gonna actually.
that. Everyone thought
I didn't think it could actually happen.
Right.
Like this is the guy. He's the guy on The Apprentice. Like he's gonna be president.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's what everyone, half the country was like, what the? But no one voted for him, right? Like no one admit that
Yeah, that they were voting for him.
Right.
But at the same time, though, I think Hillary's so dry.
Yeah.
Like that's
You
not
know what
inspiring.
it was though? It was 8 years of a black man in a position of power with a beautiful family. White people could not stand. So you take the most opposite of that you can find,
Yeah.
and that's what you got to appease them. You know?
Yeah.
That's really it wasn't about Hillary. It was about you had a black man for 8 years,
And we're not.
We going back to the plantation.
Yeah.
Don't
Take
get
us as
twisted.
far back as possible.
Right.
Take us as
He's
far
the
back.
man to do it.
God damn. Do you think you'll get another 4 after this?
What
You might have to
Kev?
move if he gets another 4.
You think you're gonna get another term? I don't know you're gonna make this one.
Not this one.
You don't think you'll see out this one?
I don't think that's possible.
Serious?
The country's in
He
an
pissing off a
outrage.
lot of white people too.
Yeah.
A lot of white people. But
He pissing off his own supporters right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that will get him
You got
killed.
the whole country
That'll get him
kneeling
killed.
doing
Yeah.
sports, all kinds of sports, you know, in retaliation towards him. But I mean, I really don't care much for him. I don't think much of him, but you know, it is what it is. I didn't vote for him.
he's actually good. He's actually good for black people in America.
It was out my mouth. That's it.
He is.
I don't know.
We're finally having more solidarity now.
How long has he got?
Coming
2
together,
minutes. 1 minute.
Yeah,
I thought
exactly.
we went to sleep, innit? Obama looks
He
good,
does
so we're just
right,
going to sleep.
exactly.
Yeah.
Wake us up.
So he's galvanizing black people to finally like, this is how they really feel about
Class,
you.
yeah.
He just says it what other people
But
would
I
love
kind of appreciate that
Exactly.
though. Like, let me know.
Yeah. If you a snake, I want to know. And
Yeah.
don't, you know, go behind my back. So yeah.
And wasn't a nation that taught that. It wasn't
I
a
don't know where
preacher
he
that
is.
brought us over here. It was a
Maybe
trainer.
Trevor's gonna have to start.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what's his name?
Are
Trump
you
was a
okay
trainer.
starting?
What happened?
We've got a minute. We don't know where he is.
Has he done a runner?
Probably.
Looks like it.
He's never running.
You called him.
His phone's dead,
That coffee.
which is really helpful. You got 30 seconds.
Oh shit! All right,
Yeah,
sorry,
no.
excuse
Next,
me.
do it there. Do it there.
Oh,
Do it
stay
there.
there.
Do it
Stay
there.
where
Oh,
you
you
are.
on the big
I'll
man
give you a
seat.
cut.
Oh, if we're gonna do the roll, I have the chair, innit?
Just be truthful. We don't know where he is.
Right, 20.
Well, you can start with Trump. That'll just carry itself right there.
Yeah, true.
Right, 10.
6, 5, 4.
And just like that, we are back on Omega FM. This is the Talk Black Radio Show. We are here with our American authors, travelled over from the States. Our brother King Kevin Dorival and our brother TC Carrier,
Peace.
back for part 2. The old man's gone missing, so we're carrying on the show about him for a little bit. I want to kind of pick up where we left off in terms of talking about male and female relationships, and I think you touched on it, Kevin, in terms of choosing, picking partners, and actually, I wanted to get both of your thoughts on how we actually go about picking partners. So a lot of the time you talk to people who have been in failed relationships and they'll say to you, nah, we weren't right for each other. And it's like, perhaps we could save ourselves a lot of pain if we were able in the initial stages to actually pick people that we were compatible with. So for men looking for women, what should we be looking for? For women who are looking for men, what should they be looking for in their partners? And he strolls in. With
With
his cup of coffee. With his cup of coffee.
Phone call? What's up?
Your phone wasn't even on. Don't worry, we rolled on. So brothers, how do you see it? How do we actually go about choosing compatible partners? Like what should we be looking for?
Great question, and actually that's what my book focuses on. How to choose that mate and how to look for certain signs. You know, because you have some males that only live to mate and eat. You know what I'm saying? That's all they want to do. Of course, make some money. But a woman who is looking for someone serious, is he talking about sex on the initial conversations? Is he talking about your physical body, or you know what I'm saying, things of that nature? So as soon as you see those red flags, you need to throw in the towel immediately, so you save yourself from heartache and just waste of time and energy. What kind of energy, whether it's male or female, what kind of energy are they projecting? Are they a positive person? Are they acting or pretending to be positive? But really, in reality, they're just showing you their best foot forward.
As you do.
You know what I'm saying? Which we all do. You know what I'm saying? When you date someone, it's sort of like an interview. You know what I mean? You want to put your best foot forward, but at the same time, is this your real self?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, like, no one turns up to the job interview going, I'm going to be late 3 times a week. Now that comes later.
I take 20 minutes in the toilet twice a day.
Tell no one that.
Right.
But I see what you mean. There's those initial signs. TC, how do you see it?
First of all, we don't know what love is. We presented by this romanticized Hollywood version of dancing in the flowers,
In the
floating on
waterfalls,
air.
yeah.
Exactly. But love does not play. Love is not for the faint of heart. And that's what we got to realize, that if you are going into this relationship, expect to get turned inside out, expect to get exposed, and all your weaknesses, all your insecurities, all your trauma that you have suffered since a child is going to come out and be exposed, and you have to deal with that. If you're not ready to deal with that, don't fool with love. Love is actually...
No, you was
Okay,
finna slow. Don't let me mess
okay.
up the music.
Love
Go
is
ahead.
actually a frequency that you can measure. It's 528 megahertz. It's a frequency that resides in your heart level. That's why they say love is in your heart, because you must rise to love. You can't fall in love. You must rise to this level of consciousness. So you can actually see it, right? And when you operate from this heart frequency of love, people don't know the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So let me repeat that. The heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. So what does that tell you? What's more important? What you can taste, feel, hear, touch, see, or smell? What's logical for you? Or that feeling that that heart gives you? Now don't get me wrong. Again, it's a frequency. It's not just a feeling. It's a state of consciousness. So the Bible has 1 Corinthians, right? And that quotes speak to us about love. And that's the closest thing that I could find. Love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrongs. Love is not jealous. Love puts other people ahead of yourself. When you spoke as a child, you acted like a child. When you became man, you put childish ways behind you. So love is always forever evolving into your higher self. Love never stops to do that. So, again, you must love yourself before you can love anyone else. Love starts at home. So, as Kevin was saying, if you're not at that level, do not fool with it, because it will turn you inside out.
David,
Yes, I said it. Not sure here.
isn't it? You normally do that bit of the show.
Just his back. That's beautiful. And also, it makes me think in terms of, I have to orientate myself on our goal, because when we look at our community, we're acting based on broken families. So our actions are based on a broken community. So what is a whole community? A community is, we have families, children raised in strong households, and you're in a community of people who have families and children in strong households. So then when those children grow up to be teenagers, I don't know that children just be going on with any person. Then now it's family networks now you're talking about, coming together. And families guiding families about how we relate together.
Yes.
And how our seeds will come together. It's a different kind of thinking.
Yes.
When you're from this damaged space we're in.
With purpose and
Yes,
responsibility.
that's right,
Like
that's
the
right.
parents have purpose,
That's
responsibility.
right.
The children
That's
have
right.
purpose, responsibility.
Exactly.
And now you can guide that, but not in a forced arranged marriage kind of way, in that love space where you know your parents who've been there are with you, and the children trust them, and the parents are caring and open to understand the needs of the children. Cool. I've got a thought. Thank you very much, Trevor, for filling in, mini-me.
As we do.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Here's one I made earlier.
I think you want that job.
And he can have it. He can have
Not
it.
yet.
However, a little bit. Just another thing that I find is a sticking point. When we talk about people being damaged, we talk about having to deal. I like that spot that we just got to, where we're talking about stuff coming up and having to love being able to deal with it, or knowing yourself before you can get into these things. But then, is it? I kind of feel like I know the answer, but I want us to discuss it. Is it like I have to be fixed? I have to get it all right. I have to, now I don't have all my childhood issues, which are numerous, are all disappeared. They've all gone. I am the finished article. I am ready. Now, Kevin, send me cooking queen. Is that how that works? Or is it a case of, which I think is more where David was saying it, like, I think you mentioned something like this earlier, but it's like, I recognize I'm damaged goods. I recognize there's lots of things, I recognise who I'm going to meet has issues and may also be damaged goods, but I'm prepared to work with them, and I'm looking for someone who works with me. In which case, how then? Because it's like when that stuff starts coming up, you know, you said like that it's gonna, all your childhood stuff's gonna come up. I don't know, like I don't want to blow my own trumpet here because it might be it's a negative. I don't know. Oops, a lower self issue. I'm gonna fix that.
All right.
A lower self issue, but I try to be open about like what I would call my failings or problems. Do you know what I mean? But then I don't know if that always is a good thing. Like, does that work? Because if you're open about it, isn't that just someone going, well, you know, you said you was crazy from childhood because blah blah blah? Doesn't that? And I think a lot of people worry about being that way because it can be used against you.
You know what? As long as you don't define yourself by your insecurities and your issues and the trauma that you had. And that's what black people do, especially in the States. We have something called the ghetto mentality. And it's the worst of us.
Okay.
And then we call ourselves, well, you just being black.
Yeah.
So now we define ourselves by the worst in us, by our egos. And all ghetto mentality is the ego. Self-survival, get mine any way I can, forget about you, it's all about me, so on and so forth. So we got to get out of that defining who we are as a people through our issues. So yes, I have an issue, but am I willing to work that out? As long as I meet a sister who's willing to say, you know what, I had trauma with this, maybe a sexual trauma, and that's not discussed in the black community, child molestation and sexual trauma, especially among men as well. And that's a big issue that we have that we don't confront. But as long as she's honest with herself and honest with you, and making strides, and you are making strides to be a better person. We all made of imperfect material. No one is perfect, but it's the journey of trying to get perfection. And that's what we all should be on. We shouldn't be defining ourselves by our insecurities. Well, I didn't have a father, so this is how I am for the rest of my life. You're going to have to deal with it, right?
My father hit me with the belt.
Exactly, exactly.
You don't know how I feel.
And although we all have things to be that traumatize us and made us victims, we don't have to act like them. And that's the thing, that we act like victims.
Love that answer. Yes, sir.
An interesting point.
Yeah.
You know, the act is sacred, to be taught. I was thinking of this a little while ago. Where think about it, why isn't it that life made it that when a man enters, it just stops one time and then just that's it. It's a continuous action. It ain't just once and like I'll give up, like nothing's happened. It's actually a continuous action you do, and then you can make it appear that you're looking for something, but nothing. Actually, something comes from you. In that action, something actually comes out of you.
Right, David's gone deep now. Go ahead, David.
So in that journey, in that process, in that work, it ain't just a one time I'll give up. It's a continuous action, an effort you have to put into a relationship. And in that continuous action, you're thinking something comes from the person, and maybe, but there's actually something that's key comes from you, comes from your core. That's key.
After struggle or after vigorous action
in the
or
process
after work.
of that thing. So once I saw that, and I'm looking at life and looking at trials, I'm like, what if the trial is the same thing?
Yeah,
and I'm giving up.
That makes sense.
Because in that action, there's a friction in the intimacy that causes energy in the being, that stimulates the self. If it makes sense.
No. It wasn't when you started, but I got there. I'm on board. No, he was making sense. I'm sorry. I get it. Like it's after difficulty comes ease. It's like through the trial. That's the growing. It's the going up from the lower levels to higher levels.
At what difficulty is, because we think difficult.
Yeah.
No, why is it? Okay, maybe I
Which
got
is
to
why brother
revise
said
why I
don't
see
be.
difficult.
When brother said don't be defined by your issues, it's like that's the difficulty that you've got to overcome, and in overcoming that through trial.
Because that trial, the person says, okay, because this happened to me, that must mean I'm. No, it don't. So you're letting go of that labeling we put on ourselves.
Wow. Love that, Kevin.
Yes. TC, Brother David, you all brought some great points.
Scientists, I'm trying to hold on to you too. I like this.
Now, this is what I have to say. We have to be honest with each other, kings and gentlemen. What is love? Love is the action word. Love is a verb. It's a continual action, like you mentioned. A lot of us within the black community, we are coming from a place of of hate, but we calling it love.
That's right, exactly.
So we have to address that issue, like you said. Some of it comes from our past, our experiences growing up as a child, our relationships. And if we are honest and want to deal with those issues, then we can get involved in a relationship, because you don't want to bring that toxic energy into someone else's world. So you have to be very careful about who you let into your world or even entertain, because eventually whatever energy they're on or whatever curse, so to speak, was in their life, will transcend into your life. So Dr. Amos Wilson also said in his book, Black on Black Violence, Black Self-Alienation in Service of White Domination, that many people in the black community have to get an exorcism to get rid of those foul spirits. And a lot of these relationships...
Amos Wilson, that's a big... If you don't know that name, you should
Yes.
Google Dr. Amos Wilson and spend some time on YouTube. He was sadly taken from us quite a while ago, but the brother lives on through the joy of YouTube. But I'm saying you look too young to have been around studying hard when that was happening.
Too young, yes, but I have like 3 or 4 of his books. And also our Black on Black Crime Solutions panel, he's a motivating spirit for us even starting it.
Yeah,
Because
Dr.
I
Amos
have...
Wilson, yeah, we'll talk about him in due course. But yeah, I just
Yeah,
wanted to make
definitely.
sure the audience, if they don't know, get to know the brother you're speaking to.
Definitely. And watch a video called The Black Male and Female Relationships. Very powerful video. And that's what actually started, a lot of things in my journey and waking me up in my consciousness. Him and Dr. Ashimuko Barashango.
Okay.
Now, is it love from hate, or is it truly love from love? And you can't really love yourself unless you address that issue that, okay, I was hurt, this person did that to me, and I want to deal with it. Because when you're in a relationship or starting to become, or you create a union, you can't really create it because you're still holding on to that anger. You're still holding on to that pain. And if I truly love you and I want to allow you into my world, I'm going to let you into that part so you can help me get rid of this if I can't do it on my own. Because sometimes we need that other energy,
Yeah.
whether we